Recent research shows that certain fruits, even those we believe are healthy, may quietly fuel prostate enlargement as we age. If you are over 60 and you're struggling with frequent urination, weak stream, or nighttime trips to the bathroom, what you eat might be making it worse without you even realizing it. In today's video, I will reveal 6 common fruits that can contribute to prostate growth. These are fruits many of my own patients eat every single day, thinking they are doing something good for their health. But the truth is far more complicated. We will talk about how natural sugars like fructose impact your hormones, how they drive insulin resistance, and how this quietly feeds prostate tissue growth over time. You will learn about the hidden connection between metabolic health and prostate function, and why even healthy foods can turn harmful when consumed in the wrong way. Make sure you watch until the end because the very first fruit on the list is the most surprising and most dangerous one. It's something nearly every household has, and most men never suspect it could be harming their prostate. Before we begin, type the city you are watching from in the comments. I want to see how far this message travels and how many men we can help protect their prostate health. Let's get started. Fruit number 6, watermelon, high fructose content. Have you ever been told to eat more watermelon because it's good for you? It's refreshing, hydrating, and packed with vitamins. But what if I told you that this sweet, summertime favorite could quietly be contributing to the enlargement of your prostate? That's exactly what we're going to uncover right now. Most people think of watermelon as a guilt-free fruit. After all, it's mostly water, right? That's true to a point. Watermelon is about 92% water. It contains important nutrients like vitamin C, vitamin A, and antioxidants such as lycopene, which has actually been studied for its potential benefits on prostate health. But the story doesn't end there. The problem lies in the high natural sugar content, particularly fructose. 1 cup of diced watermelon contains about 9–10 grams of sugar. Now, that may not sound like much, but consider how easily people consume large portions. A typical summertime serving can easily be 3 or 4 cups, sometimes more. That adds up to 30 to 40 grams of sugar in a single sitting. Why is this important? Because as we age, our bodies become less efficient at managing sugar, especially fructose. Fructose is primarily metabolized in the liver, and excessive intake can lead to insulin resistance, fatty liver, and increased production of uric acid. Insulin resistance, in particular, has been closely linked to hormonal imbalances that affect the prostate. When insulin levels rise chronically, they can stimulate the overproduction of insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1. This hormone plays a role in cell growth and replication, and elevated levels have been associated with an increased risk of prostate enlargement and even prostate cancer in some studies. Essentially, your body's attempt to handle excess sugar quietly fuels processes that can make your prostate grow. Beyond insulin and IGF-1, fructose can also promote chronic inflammation. Low-grade inflammation is a silent driver behind many age-related conditions, including benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. Inflammation irritates the prostate tissue, leading to swelling and further contributing to urinary symptoms like frequent urination, urgency, weak stream, and nighttime awakenings that disrupt sleep. Another lesser-known factor is oxidative stress. Watermelon does contain antioxidants, but when consumed in excessive quantities, the fructose load can actually increase oxidative stress by generating free radicals during metabolism. Oxidative stress damages cells and tissues over time, including the sensitive tissues of the prostate. There's also the issue of blood pressure. Many men over 60 are already managing hypertension. While watermelon contains the amino acid citrulline, which can support blood vessel health, its high sugar content may counteract these benefits by contributing to weight gain and metabolic syndrome, both of which further strain the cardiovascular system and indirectly affect prostate health. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying you need to eliminate watermelon entirely from your diet. Moderation is key. A small, controlled portion on occasion isn't likely to cause harm, but regularly consuming large servings, especially during the summer months, can silently contribute to the hormonal and metabolic imbalances that feed prostate growth. Many of my patients are surprised when we connect the dots between their diet and their prostate symptoms. They tell me, "But doctor, it's just fruit." And that's where the common misunderstanding lies. Yes, fruits are natural, but natural doesn't always mean harmless in unlimited amounts, especially as our bodies change with age. One of the most important lessons I teach my patients is that managing prostate health isn't just about avoiding the obvious culprits like red meat or alcohol. It's also about being mindful of how much natural sugar you're consuming, even from seemingly innocent sources like watermelon. Think of your prostate like a garden. When it's young, it can handle a few weeds and rough weather. But as it gets older, it's more sensitive to the environment. Excess sugar is like fertilizer for those weeds. It nourishes the very conditions we want to avoid: inflammation, hormonal imbalance, and tissue overgrowth. Science supports this careful approach. Multiple studies have shown that men with higher levels of insulin resistance are more likely to develop BPH. Other research has linked elevated IGF-1 levels with increased prostate volume. Chronic low-grade inflammation has been identified as both a cause and consequence of prostate enlargement. In my practice, I've seen remarkable improvements when patients adjust their diets to control sugar intake. Symptoms improve, sleep improves, quality of life improves, and it all starts with understanding the hidden ways in which common foods affect your body. So the next time you reach for that big slice of watermelon, remember, it's not about it's about balance. A small piece can be enjoyed, but making it a daily habit in large quantities might be quietly working against your prostate health. Fruit number 5, bananas. Potassium good, but sugar and lectins bad. Most people believe bananas are the perfect snack. Easy to peel, soft on the stomach, rich in potassium. But what if I told you that your daily banana habit could quietly be making your prostate problems worse? This may sound surprising, but as we dig deeper, you'll see how something so seemingly harmless can have unintended consequences for your prostate health. Bananas have long been promoted as heart-healthy and rich in essential nutrients. They contain potassium, which helps regulate blood pressure, and vitamin B6, which supports nerve function. But for men over 60, especially those struggling with benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, the story isn't as simple as it seems. One medium banana contains about 14 grams of sugar. While this sugar is natural, it still enters the bloodstream and triggers insulin release. Over time, regular consumption of high-sugar fruits like bananas can contribute to insulin resistance. Studies published in journals such as the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition have linked insulin resistance to hormonal disruptions that play a role in prostate enlargement. When insulin resistance develops, it sets off a hormonal chain reaction. Insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1, becomes elevated. Elevated IGF-1 has been associated with increased cellular proliferation, including in the prostate gland. This means that consistently high insulin and IGF-1 levels can quietly encourage your prostate to grow, even if you're unaware it's happening. Beyond the sugar content, bananas also contain lectins. Lectins are plant-based proteins that can bind to cell membranes and potentially disrupt normal cellular functions. While some individuals tolerate lectins without noticeable issues, others may experience chronic low-grade inflammation when consuming lectin-rich foods regularly. And as research shows, chronic inflammation is one of the key drivers behind the progression of BPH. As we age, our bodies become increasingly sensitive to sources of inflammation. The immune system doesn't respond as robustly, but chronic, smoldering inflammation persists, gradually damaging tissues and organs. In the prostate, this inflammation leads to tissue swelling, further narrowing the urethra and worsening urinary symptoms such as frequent urination, difficulty starting, weak stream, and the frustrating feeling of incomplete emptying. Let's not forget another overlooked factor: serotonin. Bananas contain tryptophan, an amino acid that the body converts into serotonin. While serotonin is generally beneficial, excessive serotonin levels can affect urinary function. Some studies suggest that elevated serotonin activity may worsen urinary urgency and frequency in men with existing prostate issues. Bananas also contain a considerable amount of carbohydrates. For older adults who are less physically active, the body's ability to utilize those carbohydrates efficiently declines. Excess carbohydrates are stored as fat, particularly visceral fat around the abdomen. Visceral fat is metabolically active and contributes to systemic inflammation, insulin resistance, and hormonal imbalances that all negatively affect prostate health. Furthermore, many men don't realize that ripeness matters. The riper the banana, the higher its glycemic index. Fully ripened bananas cause a faster spike in blood sugar levels, placing additional strain on insulin regulation. Repeated blood sugar spikes, even from natural sources, tax the pancreas and contribute to the hormonal environment that fosters prostate enlargement. Several long-term studies have examined the relationship between diet, metabolic syndrome, and prostate health. A study published in the Journal of Urology found that men with metabolic syndrome were significantly more likely to experience BPH symptoms. The combination of high blood sugar, elevated triglycerides, hypertension, and abdominal obesity creates a perfect storm for prostate growth. Bananas, when consumed excessively, can subtly feed into this cycle. In my practice, I often see patients who eat 1 or 2 bananas every single day, believing they're making a healthy choice. They're shocked when we review their diet and connect the dots between their food choices and their worsening urinary symptoms. The connection isn't always immediate, but over the years, these dietary habits quietly influence prostate tissue growth. It's also worth noting that bananas are often paired with other high-sugar foods, like breakfast cereals or smoothies, compounding the total sugar intake. This constant exposure to elevated blood sugar and insulin keeps the prostate under steady hormonal pressure, encouraging gradual enlargement over time. Moderation is crucial. A banana every now and then is unlikely to cause significant harm. The real danger lies in habitual overconsumption, particularly in men whose metabolic health is already compromised. As we get older, our ability to handle these subtle stresses diminishes, and seemingly small dietary choices begin to carry larger consequences. I tell my patients that protecting your prostate isn't about complete deprivation. It's about awareness and balance. Recognize that even healthy foods have limits. Pay attention to how often you're consuming these fruits and consider alternatives that are lower in sugar and gentler on your metabolic system. By making simple adjustments today, you can help prevent the slow, silent progression of prostate enlargement that robs so many men of restful sleep and comfortable living. Understanding how everyday choices affect your health is one of the most powerful tools you have as you age. And with that knowledge, you can take control of your prostate health before symptoms escalate. Fruit number 4, grapes, resveratrol versus high fructose. Grapes are often praised as one of nature's perfect snacks. They're bite-sized, delicious, and full of antioxidants. But what if I told you that behind their glossy skin lies a hidden danger that could be fueling your prostate problems? This may sound hard to believe, but for men over 60 concerned about prostate health, grapes deserve a much closer look. On the surface, grapes seem like an excellent choice. They contain resveratrol, a powerful antioxidant that has been widely studied for its anti-aging and anti-inflammatory properties. Some research even suggests that resveratrol might help combat certain cancers, including prostate cancer. But as with many things in nutrition, the benefits of resveratrol don't tell the whole story. Especially when it comes to prostate enlargement or benign prostatic hyperplasia, the problem lies in how grapes deliver their sweetness. Grapes are loaded with natural sugars, particularly fructose and glucose. 1 cup of grapes contains around 23 grams of sugar. For many people, it's easy to consume 2 or 3 cups without even thinking, especially when snacking straight from the bag. That can quickly add up to 50 or more grams of sugar in one sitting. While the sugar is natural, your body processes it the same way it processes refined sugar. Fructose is primarily metabolized by the liver. In excessive amounts, fructose triggers fat accumulation in the liver, known as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. This process also contributes to insulin resistance, a condition where the body's cells no longer respond properly to insulin. Insulin resistance is a major concern for men over 60 because it disrupts hormonal balance in ways that directly impact the prostate. When insulin resistance develops, insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1, often becomes elevated. Elevated IGF-1 levels have been repeatedly linked to increased prostate tissue growth. This isn't speculative. Studies published in journals like the Journal of Urology have shown clear associations between higher IGF-1 levels and greater prostate volume. The hormonal environment that high fructose intake helps create encourages the very condition we're trying to avoid: prostate enlargement. The dangers don't stop with insulin and IGF-1. Excessive fructose also promotes chronic low-grade inflammation. This type of inflammation is subtle but dangerous. It simmers quietly in the background, causing gradual tissue damage over years. In the prostate, chronic inflammation leads to swelling and increased cell proliferation, narrowing the urethra and worsening urinary symptoms such as frequency, urgency, weak stream, and nocturia. Many men tell me, "But doctor, I thought antioxidants like resveratrol would protect me." The truth is, while resveratrol offers benefits, the concentration found in a handful of grapes is relatively low. To achieve the doses shown to be therapeutic in clinical studies, you would need to consume large quantities of grapes or take purified supplements. But consuming large amounts of grapes means ingesting large amounts of sugar, which cancels out the potential benefits and introduces new risks. Another concern with grapes is their high glycemic load when eaten in quantity. The glycemic load reflects not just how quickly blood sugar rises, but also how much it rises based on typical serving sizes. Rapid spikes in blood sugar trigger sharp insulin responses, which over time wear down your pancreas and disrupt glucose metabolism. This cycle feeds into metabolic syndrome, a condition characterized by abdominal obesity, high blood pressure, elevated triglycerides, and insulin resistance. Metabolic syndrome has been strongly associated with BPH and worsening prostate symptoms. Let's not forget the role of visceral fat. As we age, excess sugar intake contributes to fat accumulation around the abdominal organs. Visceral fat is hormonally active, producing inflammatory cytokines that worsen systemic inflammation. These cytokines further stimulate prostate growth and make urinary symptoms more severe. It's a vicious cycle that can often be traced back to seemingly innocent dietary choices. In my clinic, I often meet patients who snack on grapes daily, believing they're making a healthy choice. They're often stunned when we discuss how their seemingly harmless habits may be contributing to their nightly trips to the bathroom, weak urinary stream, and constant urgency. The connection isn't always obvious, but over time, the cumulative impact of high-sugar fruits like grapes can be significant. Grapes are also frequently consumed in ways that magnify the problem. They're added to fruit salads, mixed into smoothies, or paired with desserts, compounding the total sugar load. Each of these combinations drives up the glycemic impact, placing constant metabolic stress on the body and indirectly fueling prostate growth. Moderation is key, a small serving of grapes once in a while won't harm most men, but daily consumption, especially in large portions, poses a real risk for those already dealing with metabolic issues or prostate enlargement. As we age, our bodies lose the flexibility to tolerate these metabolic insults. The choices that once seemed inconsequential start to carry much more weight. Protecting your prostate requires a comprehensive understanding of how even healthy foods can turn harmful in the wrong context. Grapes offer some benefits, but for men concerned about BPH, they must be enjoyed cautiously. Being mindful of portion sizes and total sugar intake can make a significant difference in how your prostate behaves over time. Ultimately, safeguarding your prostate isn't about fear or rigid restrictions. It's about awareness. Understanding how foods interact with your unique physiology empowers you to make choices that preserve your comfort, your sleep, and your overall quality of life. Every small adjustment you make today can translate into meaningful protection for your prostate health in the years ahead. Fruit number 3, mangoes, tropical sweet danger. Mangoes are often called the king of fruits. Their rich, tropical sweetness is irresistible, and many people believe they are a healthy addition to any diet. But what if I told you that this tropical delight could silently contribute to your prostate problems? For men over 60, the hidden risks of mangoes are worth serious attention. On the surface, mangoes appear to be a nutritional powerhouse. They are packed with vitamins A and C, contain beneficial antioxidants, and provide fiber that aids digestion. But underneath these benefits lies a troubling reality for prostate health, especially for men already dealing with benign prostatic hyperplasia. A single cup of sliced mango contains about 23 grams of sugar. That's nearly 6 teaspoons in just one serving. And like many fruits, it's easy to eat much more than a single serving without realizing it. This high sugar content, primarily in the form of fructose and glucose, can have significant metabolic consequences. Fructose in particular is metabolized by the liver. When consumed in excess, it contributes to the buildup of fat within the liver, a condition known as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. But its effects extend beyond the liver. Excess fructose raises insulin levels, and over time can lead to insulin resistance. This is where the connection to prostate health becomes alarming. Insulin resistance disrupts the body's hormonal balance. One of the hormones affected is insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1. Elevated levels of IGF-1 have been strongly associated with increased prostate cell proliferation. Clinical studies published in reputable journals have shown that higher IGF-1 levels correlate with larger prostate volume and more severe BPH symptoms. This means that consuming high-fructose foods like mangoes on a regular basis can quietly foster an internal environment that encourages prostate tissue growth. The more the prostate grows, the more pressure it places on the urethra, leading to familiar symptoms like frequent urination, weak stream, urgency, and nighttime awakenings. Beyond the hormonal disruptions, fructose also drives chronic inflammation, another key player in prostate enlargement. Low-grade, persistent inflammation gradually damages tissues over years. In the prostate, this inflammation leads to swelling, fibrosis, and further narrowing of the urinary channel. Many of my patients are surprised when I explain how something as sweet and enjoyable as a mango can contribute to inflammation. But it's not just the sweetness you taste. It's the metabolic burden your body carries after processing the high sugar load. As we age, our ability to process sugars declines. The pancreas works harder to produce enough insulin, while tissues become less responsive. The result is higher circulating insulin levels, more fat storage, and a hormonal environment that favors prostate growth. The combination of insulin resistance and inflammation creates a perfect storm for worsening BPH. Adding to the problem is the issue of portion size. Tropical fruits like mangoes are often consumed in large quantities, especially when cut into cubes or blended into smoothies. Each additional serving compounds the sugar intake, pushing the metabolic system further out of balance. Mangoes also have a moderately high glycemic index. This means they cause a fairly rapid rise in blood sugar after eating. Frequent blood sugar spikes, even from natural sources, wear down insulin sensitivity over time. Studies have consistently shown that individuals with metabolic syndrome, which includes high blood sugar, elevated triglycerides, abdominal obesity, and hypertension, are at greater risk of developing BPH. Another often overlooked factor is the role of visceral fat. Excess sugar intake, particularly fructose, contributes to fat accumulation around the abdominal organs. Visceral fat is metabolically active and secretes inflammatory cytokines that worsen systemic inflammation. This, in turn, promotes prostate tissue growth and aggravates urinary symptoms. In my practice, I frequently meet men who consume mangoes regularly, believing they are making a healthy dietary choice. They are often shocked to learn that their habit may be quietly fueling their prostate issues. The link between diet and prostate health is rarely discussed, but it's one of the most powerful factors under your control. Mangoes are also commonly paired with other sweet foods or desserts, further increasing the sugar load. Whether it's mango lassi, fruit salads, or tropical smoothies, the cumulative sugar intake adds up quickly. This constant exposure keeps insulin levels high and allows the metabolic and hormonal imbalances to persist. The good news is that awareness empowers change. Mangoes don't need to be entirely eliminated from your diet. A small portion enjoyed occasionally is unlikely to cause significant harm. The real danger lies in habit. Tool overconsumption, especially for men whose metabolic health is already compromised. Managing prostate health as you age requires thoughtful choices. It's not enough to simply avoid obvious dietary risks. Understanding how even healthy, natural foods can become harmful in excess is crucial. Every small adjustment you make today can help reduce the silent progression of prostate enlargement and preserve your quality of life. Ultimately, protecting your prostate is about recognizing these hidden connections and taking control of your diet with knowledge and intention. The choices you make now will determine how comfortably and independently you live in the years ahead. Fruit number 2, pineapple. Bromelain good, acidity and sugar bad. Pineapple has long been celebrated as a tropical superfruit, praised for its unique enzyme bromelain, its vibrant flavor, and its ability to aid digestion. But what if I told you that for men over 60, regularly consuming pineapple could quietly contribute to the very prostate issues you are trying to avoid? Beneath its sweet, tangy surface lies a combination of properties that, while beneficial in some areas, can quietly worsen prostate enlargement over time. On one hand, pineapple contains bromelain, a natural enzyme with anti-inflammatory properties. Bromelain has been studied for its potential to reduce inflammation and improve digestion, making it sound like an ideal food for overall wellness. But the problem arises when we examine what comes alongside the bromelain, a significant amount of sugar and acidity. 1 cup of pineapple contains approximately 16 grams of sugar, primarily as fructose and glucose. That means just a few slices of pineapple can quickly add up to a substantial sugar intake. For men concerned about prostate health, this high sugar content poses several metabolic risks that can quietly feed into the development of benign prostatic hyperplasia. Fructose is metabolized by the liver, and when consumed excessively, it promotes fat accumulation in the liver, leading to insulin resistance. Insulin resistance disrupts the delicate hormonal balance in the body, elevating levels of insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1. Numerous studies have demonstrated a clear link between elevated IGF-1 levels and increased prostate cell proliferation. Over time, this hormonal shift encourages the growth of prostate tissue, leading to the gradual enlargement that causes so many urinary symptoms in older men. The hormonal disturbances don't end there. Insulin resistance contributes to chronic low-grade inflammation, a silent process that aggravates prostate enlargement. Inflammatory markers slowly damage tissue, promoting swelling, fibrosis, and narrowing of the urinary channel. This leads to the classic symptoms many men experience: weak urine stream, frequent urination, difficulty starting, and nighttime awakenings. Beyond sugar and insulin, pineapple presents another hidden danger: its high acidity. Pineapple has a low pH, meaning it is quite acidic. For many men dealing with BPH, this acidity can irritate the bladder and exacerbate urinary urgency and frequency. The acidic nature of pineapple can also worsen symptoms of bladder overactivity, making those nighttime trips to the bathroom even more frequent. Many of my patients come to me genuinely surprised that a fruit known for its anti-inflammatory enzyme could contribute to prostate issues. The truth is that, while bromelain may offer some benefits, the overall impact of pineapple on metabolic health and urinary function often outweighs these benefits when consumed in excess. Adding to the problem is how easily pineapple is overconsumed. It's delicious, refreshing, and often served in large portions, fruit salads, or as part of tropical drinks and desserts. Blended into smoothies or juiced, pineapple delivers even more concentrated sugar per serving. Each additional portion increases the glycemic load, causing repeated blood sugar spikes that strain the pancreas and promote insulin resistance. This repeated cycle of sugar surges and insulin responses gradually chips away at metabolic health, creating a hormonal environment that fosters prostate enlargement. It's not an overnight effect. It's a slow, silent process that plays out over years, often without immediate symptoms until the prostate has already grown significantly. Visceral fat plays another critical role in this process. Excess sugar intake, particularly from fructose, encourages fat deposition around the abdominal organs. This visceral fat is metabolically active and secretes inflammatory cytokines that worsen systemic inflammation. These inflammatory signals further stimulate prostate tissue growth and worsen urinary symptoms. In my practice, I've seen countless patients who include pineapple as part of their daily routine, believing they're making a health-conscious choice. They often pair it with other high-sugar fruits or add it to sweetened beverages, compounding the total sugar intake. When we carefully review their diet and connect the dots, many are shocked to realize how these seemingly harmless choices have contributed to their worsening prostate symptoms. The scientific evidence supporting these connections is substantial. Studies published in journals such as the Journal of Urology and the Prostate have consistently shown that metabolic syndrome, characterized by insulin resistance, abdominal obesity, elevated triglycerides, and hypertension, is strongly associated with increased prostate volume and more severe BPH symptoms. It's important to understand that pineapple isn't inherently bad. A small port, iron enjoyed occasionally won't harm most men. The real risk emerges with habitual excessive consumption, particularly for men whose metabolic health is already compromised or who are genetically predisposed to prostate enlargement. Managing prostate health after 60 requires a deeper awareness of how even healthy foods can become harmful when consumed irresponsibly. Moderation, portion control, and a balanced diet are essential. Recognizing the hidden sugar content in foods like pineapple empowers you to make informed decisions that protect your prostate over time. The choices you make every day have a cumulative impact. Understanding how your diet influences your prostate health gives you the ability to take control and prevent the slow progression of symptoms that rob so many men of restful sleep and comfortable living. Small adjustments now can translate into years of better quality of life. Prostate health isn't about strict avoidance or fear. It's about informed choices and thoughtful balance. With the right knowledge, you can enjoy your favorite foods without compromising your long-term well-being. Every mindful decision you make today strengthens your ability to age with comfort, dignity, and independence. Fruit number 1, dried fruits, the hidden sugar bomb. Most people reach for dried fruits thinking they're making a healthy choice. After all, it's fruit, right? Raisins, dates, apricots, figs, all natural, packed with nutrients, easy to store and quick to snack on. But what if I told you that these convenient little packages are one of the most deceptive threats to your prostate health? Especially for men over 60, dried fruits can silently fuel the very problem you're trying to avoid. Let's start by looking at what makes dried fruits so risky. Unlike fresh fruits, dried fruits have had their water removed, which concentrates their sugars dramatically. Take raisins, for example. 1 cup of grapes contains around 23 grams of sugar. But when those grapes are dried into raisins, that same cup contains over 85 grams of sugar. That's more than 21 teaspoons of sugar in a single serving. And it's very easy to consume a handful here and there, not realizing just how much sugar you're actually eating. The primary sugar in dried fruits is fructose. Unlike glucose, which is used by nearly every cell in your body, fructose is almost entirely processed in the liver. When consumed in excess, fructose contributes to fat accumulation in the liver, a condition known as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Over time, this leads to insulin resistance, a metabolic dysfunction that quietly disrupts your body's hormonal balance. Insulin resistance is at the core of many prostate problems. When your body becomes resistant to insulin, it compensates by producing more insulin. This elevation in insulin levels also raises levels of insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1. Elevated IGF-1 has been strongly linked to prostate tissue growth. Multiple studies published in reputable medical journals have consistently demonstrated that higher IGF-1 levels are associated with larger prostate volume and worsening symptoms of benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. In addition to hormonal imbalances, dried fruits contribute to chronic, low-grade inflammation. Inflammation doesn't always announce itself with pain or obvious symptoms. Instead, it operates silently, damaging tissues over time. In the prostate, this leads to swelling, fibrosis, and narrowing of the urinary tract, which translates into weak urine flow, frequent urination, urgency, and those exhausting nighttime awakenings. Another serious concern with dried fruits is their extremely high glycemic load. Glycemic load not only measures how fast blood sugar rises, but also how much it rises based on the quantity consumed. Dried fruits cause sharp, rapid spikes in blood sugar, forcing your pancreas to work harder and faster. Repeated spikes gradually wear down insulin sensitivity, feeding directly into metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome, characterized by abdominal obesity, high blood pressure, elevated triglycerides, and insulin resistance, has been closely linked to prostate enlargement in multiple clinical studies. Men who develop metabolic syndrome are significantly more likely to experience severe BPH symptoms. And one of the easiest ways men unintentionally feed this syndrome is through habitual consumption of high-sugar foods like dried fruits. In my practice, I've seen many patients who proudly tell me they avoid candy and desserts, but they snack on dried fruits throughout the day. They believe they're making a healthy choice, unaware that these snacks contain sugar levels comparable to or even exceeding many sweets. Over time, these choices catch up with them, contributing to the slow, steady growth of prostate tissue and worsening urinary symptoms. What makes dried fruits particularly insidious is how they're often marketed and consumed. They're added to cereals, granolas, trail mixes, salads, and baked goods. Many people eat them mindlessly throughout the day, not realizing that every small handful adds significantly to their daily sugar intake. This constant, low-level exposure keeps insulin and IGF-1 levels elevated, quietly driving prostate growth. Another hidden issue with some commercially available dried fruits is the addition of even more sugar during processing. Sweetened cranberries, for example, often contain as much as 30 grams of sugar per quarter cup, much of it added during manufacturing. Sulfites and preservatives commonly used to extend shelf life can also contribute to inflammatory responses in sensitive individuals. As we age, our bodies become less forgiving. What might have been easily tolerated at 30 or 40 becomes a serious problem at 60 and beyond. Our ability to manage sugar declines, fat tends to accumulate around the organs, and inflammation becomes harder to control. Every dietary choice becomes more impactful. Dried fruits aren't inherently evil. They contain fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants. But the real danger lies in portion size and frequency. An occasional small serving, particularly when balanced with an overall low-sugar anti-inflammatory diet, is unlikely to cause harm. The real threat comes from regular, unmonitored consumption that drives up sugar intake day after day. Managing prostate health is about awareness. It's not just about avoiding red meat or alcohol. It's about understanding the hidden sugars that lurk even in foods marketed as healthy. By becoming mindful of your intake of dried fruits, you can significantly reduce your risk of worsening BPH symptoms and preserve your quality of life. Every dietary decision you make today has long-term consequences. Prostate health is a long game. It's about making smart, sustainable choices that support your body's changing needs. With the right knowledge, you can take control and protect yourself from the silent progression of prostate enlargement that disrupts so many men's lives. Now you understand how even healthy fruits can quietly contribute to prostate enlargement if consumed without caution. Remember, it's not about eliminating these fruits completely, but about understanding how your body changes with age and making better choices to protect your health. Small adjustments today can save you from years of uncomfortable symptoms like frequent urination, poor sleep, and constant urgency. The more aware you are, the more control you have over your prostate health. If you found this information helpful, please support Glowing Age by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us reach more men who need this vital information. Take care of your health. You deserve to age with comfort, confidence, and peace of mind.